What is going on, everybody? We're here. We're live. We're a little bit late because Jay wouldn't stop fucking blabbing about Halloween Horror Nights. Like, my gosh, what incredibly entertaining story. I'm like, all right, Jay, gotta go. Gotta start. He just kept talking about Universal.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. One of these days, I'm going to play that intro live on the piano. It's really not that hard. So
It's just like 4 notes repeated.
Yeah, it's like 4 chords that progress
go down a couple. Yeah.
Then you just hit the one bass note. Yeah. Hear it enough. So just give it a try.
That's a nice hat you got there from Meta PCs.
I see one behind you.
Oh yeah, Darth Vader is wearing mine. There's just some things that are too beautiful to cover up, and I would consider my hair part of that. But yes, we do, and I actually have some to drop off to the rest of the G&G crew. Meta PC sent us out some nice hats, so big shout out to them. As always, go check out Meta PCs. There's a link in the description. Use code GEEKS or 199.
They sent me one. Yeah, they sent me one in my address. I guess they sent you the bundle.
They sent me the bundle. I got like 5 fucking hats over here. So I gotta get Jeremy.
It's nice. I like it. It's clean. You know,
simple.
That's it. Clean and simple.
That's
and
right.
then you can walk around.
Jay is a simple man. Right? He's never like made any sort of argument to the contrary. He's a simple man.
I'm as simple as it gets, man.
He's a simple kind of man.
Simple as it gets.
That's
what
right.
am I doing here?
You went to Halloween Horror Nights last night. You couldn't stop talking about it beforehand, so you might as well tell the fucking audience. How was it?
It was freaking crowded. Like, I was shocked on a Thursday night. That was my first time going. I went live with Krista. Went through like scare zones and stuff like that. Of course, she wouldn't do any of the houses, but I wasn't going to do any of the houses until I get, my brother or some other that have a fast pass, because it was like 3-hour waits just to get into a haunted house. So I'm like, I'm not waiting that long. I'll come back another time when I have my fast pass, so I don't have to wait in those long lines. But it was crowded. It's amazing, like, how crowded it compared to last year. I don't remember it being like that thick, but maybe it was thick of people. It was kind of cool to see like the Death Eaters, walking around Diagon Alley. But only I could, unless you're like 6'5", you really couldn't see them, because it was just like
there's always people trying to take pictures with them and shit.
Yeah, it was just like, and they barely could move. They were just like taking a step and just holding up their wand and just walking. There was like these little green lights. Yeah, so it is what it is. But,
somebody said I'm drinking a PBR. I'm not drinking a PBR. I'm drinking. It's just a Monster, but it's a little koozie. So I would love to be drinking a PBR right now, though. I like PBR personally.
Isn't that how the commercial went?
Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Yeah, Pabst. Man, you buy that stuff, man, when you just want to get drunk, man. Isn't that it? Or Schmitz, whatever that's called.
I mean, I think PBR has gotten like a bad. Like, I put PBR in the same realm as like Budweiser, like Bud Heavy, like original Budweiser. You know what I mean? It tastes pretty similar to me.
Yeah, Pabst. They just need to lean into that. If you just want to get drunk with some crappy beer, buy our beer.
I mean, that's basically what like Natty Light is, or Busch Light. You know,
you don't get drunk off Coors Light, man. Coors Light is like, hey, I'm cool enough. I'm cool enough to drink a beer, but I don't really want any effects of alcohol, so I'll have a Coors Light. Pretty much what that is. Like,
I went to Texas Roadhouse last night, and I walked in like, would you like a nice ice cold Bud Light? And I was like, no, I would not. Thank you, but no, I'm good. I don't want that. They're clearly trying to get rid of it. They're trying to push it on people and sell it. It's about to go skunk probably. So, makes sense.
It'll be like 3 for 1. Not forget the 2 for 1. Hey, we'll give you 3 or 4 for 1.
Bro, for a while during all the real bad Bud Light stuff, it was selling for less than water.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
It was less than a 24 pack of water. You could get a 24 pack of Bud Light. That's pretty rough.
Yeah. That's when you hit rock bottom.
That's right. But we already got some super chats rolling in. Doug B, the man Doug B, who's, I don't know if you know this, Jay. But his birthday was yesterday.
Yeah, I do.
Go.
It was a live stream yesterday. Happy birthday, Doug B.
That's right.
For your October month. Halloween.
Doug B for 20. Good morning, geeks and gamers, and the best chat in the world. Let's go. Hey, let's go. Thank you, Doug. Appreciate it.
He recently ordered a Welcome to Rebellion Meta PC.
Nice.
He got it. He sent me some pictures from it. It looks like exactly like my computer. Pretty awesome.
Well, that is the template right there. That's pretty cool.
That's pretty awesome.
Good thing it looks like it and doesn't look weird.
They didn't screw it up. That's for sure.
Jay's Milkshake brought me to the yard for Canadian $1.
Hey.
Maybe that's Krista's alt. Weird Man Productions for 5. Jay, got your book last night way earlier than expected. Can't wait to read it.
I appreciate it. Yeah, the second chance. People that ordered it, we started sending stuff out. So hopefully we'll get all that done. And within next week, everybody should have them. So I appreciate it.
There you go. That's awesome. Enrico Palazzo for 5.
Wait, do you know who that is?
Enrico Palazzo. That name fucking rings a bell.
All right, so
from
in the Naked Gun series, Enrico Palazzo was supposed to sing the national anthem. And Lieutenant Frank Drebin knocked him out and put on the costume to go out on the field, and he gives us the greatest rendition of the national anthem ever. So
there's Enrico right here for 5 saying Godspeed to Dick Butkus, the true GOAT. Yeah, Dick Butkus, Bears legend, and also an incredible name, Dick Butkus. I mean, come on. But yeah, he passed away. 80, 81, something like that. Chicago Bears legend. When you go back and look at a history of linebackers, Chicago Bears have a lot of great inside linebackers, from Dick Butkus to Mike Singletary to Brian Urlacher. And yeah, unfortunately passed away. Maybe the Bears used that to inspire them to actually, show up last night. They got their first win. So I talked about that over on Sports Wars. So go.
Oh man, Dick, that dude was nasty, bro. Oh,
it's a nasty era of football.
Yeah, you didn't want to get hit by him. Holy crap.
Yeah, that was back when you actually just got your shit destroyed.
Yeah, you were missing teeth. Your ear was ripped off. Holy crap. My leg's broken, coach. Put some tape on it and head on out there, son.
Jay's saggy orangutan titties for $1.99. Jay likes it thick.
I do.
It was a weird way to describe the crowd as thick.
That's true.
Butter biscuit for 5.
It was like fog. The fog is thick. Anyway, yeah, you're right.
There are actually some areas with the fog is overwhelming there at points.
Yeah.
Like you can't even, you're afraid to step in front of you because you're going to run over a kid.
Yeah.
Butter biscuit for 5. Simple and clean is the way that you're making me feel tonight. It's hard to let it go. Some Kingdom Hearts music for you.
So I will say this. When we were going through the last scare zone, and this is on the Park Hoppin' Live channel, Krista was she was in front and she was ducking, and she turned over to the left and she freaked out and screamed. And she jumped. That was the worst freak out that she had the whole night. She freaked out and screamed and jumped over. And then she felt terrible because she thought what was a monster jumping at her was actually a really big, obese man in a cart. In a scooter, and then she's it almost ran her over, so she freaked out and she screamed, and the guy on the scooter was what's your problem? It was hilarious, dude.
To be fair, that is the scariest thing at theme parks, are people.
That's it's true.
Fat fucks in scooters.
Yeah, he wasn't there's fat, but then there's morbid, and that was rough. That was a big boy.
That's the person that waits through half the line at Hagrid's just to get up to the front and desperately try to convince themselves they can actually fit in this thing, to have to do the waddle of shame. Go back. You can't fit, sir.
Yeah. Maybe you might want to go to Disney. They're accommodating.
That's right. Thunderstrike for 2. R.I.P. to the legend Dick Butkus. That's right.
Thunderstrike is he's just going, he's fighting cancer and everything, man. Keep your I think that's the same guy. It might not be. Sorry. Keep going. There's a guy named Thunder something that was like going through cancer, and he's like fighting it, and I just want to give him a shout out. You know who you are.
Well, if it is Thunderstrike, then prayers with you. If it's not, well, prayers to the other person, I suppose.
Yeah.
But also good vibes to Thunderstrike, regardless of whether you have cancer or not. Maybe it would be good to assume that everyone has cancer. And to have good feelings for them. I'm not sure. Thanks, Jay, for that moment. Gary's Beard Crabs for 2. Supercharge the 199 by banning Jay.
Jeremy said that's
there you go.
I hope you don't have cancer, buddy. Sorry.
Well, I was hoping he did just so you wouldn't look retarded, but I guess it's not good to hope someone has cancer just so you don't look stupid either. But I hope everybody that either does or doesn't have cancer gets better.
Yes.
There's our good vibes. On that note, speaking of complete and total fuck ups, I didn't tell you we were going to talk about this, Jay, but we might as well talk about it now. Do you remember a few days ago when the gaming company Bungie, it's not like they assumed someone had cancer. They didn't fuck up like that, but they did put out like this terrible virtue signal.
Yes.
Right.
Latin A, B, C, D, E, F, G, Q,
H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. This post that got absolutely destroyed from Bungie, being Latin/Latina/Latine/Latino/Latinx is more than just a location on a map, just as being Hispanic is more than the language we might speak. We're proud to introduce our newest idea, Latin at Bungie. They got annihilated. They got ratioed to hell. It was horrible. And then they even went so far as to hide, actual Hispanic people that are replying in their replies, hiding them, people that were just correcting them or laughing at them or mocking them. It was really, really bad. Well, sometimes those who virtue signal the hardest maybe have the most to hide. And when you decide to do this as a company, when you go full identity politics, full woke agenda, you shouldn't be surprised when your woke employees that you hire or all the fans that you've catered to might try to hold you accountable for all those progressive values you claim that you have. Well, here we are a few days later. Destiny 2 and Marathon developer Bungie is currently being sued for retaliation and wrongful termination by a former HR manager who alleges she was let go when she raised a potential case of racial discrimination to her supervisor. Isn't that weird, Jay?
No wonder they came out on Twitter and said, look, we're not racist. We respect Latin ABC XYZ. Wow. Those who preach the loudest.
Yeah, and to be fair, I went all over this on my channel in a video and read this entire thing. Who knows if this is true? It's an HR person who's probably an activist who is claiming that they were asked to review the performance of a particular person. And the particular person, when asked about their performance, said, I'm just being picked on because I'm black. Wow. And that was kind of the entire narrative. But this is a company who's decided to push that kind of nonsense. Before Latin at Bungie, before this with a brown fist in the air, just a couple years ago, I know this is very creative, they did black at Bungie with a black fist and this lightning bolt in the air, right? BB, the double B's, black at Bungie. So when you do things like this and encourage all of your employees that they're going to be treated differently because of their skin color, and then you have an employee that says, I think I'm being treated differently because of my skin color, this is the stuff you have to deal with. When you hire woke activists and when you promote woke values, these are the things you have to deal with as a company. So whether this allegation is actually true, that this is why someone got fired or not, it doesn't matter. Bungie has painted themselves into this rainbow-colored corner because of ridiculous shit like this.
Taco about a disaster.
Yeah, that exactly. So
I think someone in the chat said it. That's how I saw that.
This is about the most cringe thing you could possibly imagine. They're getting destroyed for it. And just a few days after this virtue signal post, it comes out that they're getting sued for racial discrimination. Who would have thought? Shout out, Bungie. Good job.
I literally have no words.
I could tell because when I threw it to you, you just repeated something from the chat and then made it awkward.
What can you say? It's like it's here we are. Those that preach the loudest have the most to hide. This is incredible. It's incredible. They come out trying to virtue signal to death, and then they're being sued in the back end. Perfect. Why are we not surprised? That's all I have to say. You covered it well. Good job.
Thank you.
These companies are a freaking joke, man. It's like it's a joke. Oh well.
It's just like Disney when they like get sued in California or whatever. This was like from a year and a half ago. They get sued in California for like not paying women enough for some bullshit. Like despite all of their activism, despite all their preaching.
Did you hear what Disney's going through like multiple lawsuits? Did you hear like what one of them was?
Well, there's a lot out. Well, one of them is like, isn't it some woman like got an ultimate wedgie because she went down a slide?
That's one, but another one was
the Disney Plus stuff is the biggest one to me.
Right. No, these are stupid. I think they're kind of stupid lawsuits, but it was like there's one where a guy is suing Walt Magic Kingdom because he took his son on the Peter Pan ride and his son got whiplash. And I'm like, you kind of like, if you've been on that ride that's been around like since I don't know how, almost 100 years. It's like, how did the heck do you get whiplash on that ride? That thing
kids are really fucking pussies these days. To be honest, that's what's going on.
That ride is so slow.
It's a boring one, if I remember right.
It's
is that the one that carries you up? Like,
yeah, and you go over London and you just kind of float around, and then
I went on that ride when I was like 12.
Yeah, we've all been on it when we were little kids. Like that's how long ago. And it's like, yeah, they're like, hey, we have permanent damage. My son got whiplash. We want $50,000. And then, like 2 weeks after that, somebody's suing the Magic Kingdom again because they went to get on the Haunted Mansion and they tripped to try to get in that. And that ride's been around for 100 years too, without no kind of incident. It's like, what the heck?
Such bullshit too. Like that's just people that are trying to go after big companies.
Right.
Like the Disney lawsuits that I find compelling are the ones that are, saying that Disney intentionally misled people about the success of Disney Plus, which is 1,000% true, right? They have done that. We know that they did that. Those are the ones that I'm interested to see play out because that has some fucking meat to it. Not just 100. Some fucking soy-filled kid who got whiplash on the dumbest ride at Disney World.
I was hoping it's a small world.
We got an update for you, Jay.
There he is.
Thundarius, member for 3 months. Hey, Jay, it's me, the one at Mayo going through radiation to treat the residual cells left over from my surgery. I had a walnut-sized tumor on my spine.
I'm glad you're doing better, man.
There you go.
We're pulling for you.
Jay's pulling for you so hard, he just assumes that anybody that sounds maybe like you probably has cancer too. So shout out to Thundarius and to Thunderstrike, and to everybody in the chat.
Everybody else that might be going through.
That's right. David Cushmore for 5. Is there going to be a season 2 for Ahsoka? What's next for Star Wars movies? I mean, I personally think there is going to be a season 2, but I also. Well, I don't know if it's going to be called Ahsoka. That's the one thing that I wonder.
Mando 4.
And obviously we didn't have we haven't had an announcement that there's a season 2 greenlit or in development or anything like that. We got to talk about these Ahsoka ratings, which we will in a second. But I'm not necessarily convinced that the next part of that story would be Ahsoka season 2. It might be called something else. You know what I mean? Because quite frankly, I don't think this series needed to be called Ahsoka to begin with.
I think I always thought they would do something like the Avengers and like do
I think that's what the
Yeah.
The setup for the movie will be 100%.
Okay, so like the Dave Filoni movie will just put them all together. And then Sabine will get Grogu as her Padawan, and they'll set all that stuff up. And then Ahsoka will get sucked into the world between worlds and end up with Rey in her movie. And might as well.
Bro, please, Dave Filoni, please give me a scene where Ahsoka's in the world between worlds, and that's how we heard her voice in Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
She sees Rey like sitting there struggling to deal with Palpatine, and she says to him, or she speaks through the world between worlds, "It's your time, Rey. Stand up. You are all the Jedi." Please give me that.
Woo. No, I agree with you. It could be a Mando 4 where they all sort of kind of get together a little bit. They're all kind of in the same world. It wouldn't surprise me if they try to get Sabine to go back and speak to both. Go back to you don't think like go back to Mandalore at all, or no? Or she's done with all that.
Well,
to go to
they went back to Mandalore. So they went back to Mandalore in the season 3, obviously. Yeah. I think season 4 is going to be a little bit about Bo-Katan and a little bit about Din Djarin and a little bit of mix. But I think you could do like a separate series completely. Maybe you call it Thrawn or something.
Right. Okay.
Where half of it's dealing with that and half of it's dealing with Ahsoka and Sabine. You have to imagine they're going to get back somehow, some way. But at the same time, you just went through this entire thing of making this trek to a different galaxy, how difficult it was, blah, 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 all this shit. It would really cheapen this other galaxy existence if Ezra, which he should have done, go back to the fleet and be like, hey, this is where Sabine and Ahsoka are. We should get like a super hyperdrive together and just go find them. I have the coordinates. We literally just went there. That would be really cheap if that's the way they get saved. So
yeah, they just literally switch positions in this series.
Yeah, they do. And that's all that happens. And now whether Ahsoka finds some way through the world between worlds to get back to another galaxy, whether they continue on with this Mortis God's arc and maybe find kind of if they go into things, there is this kind of big cube. That's a way different story, but this like kind of cube that's associated with Mortis that maybe could travel through different galaxies. Who knows? But I don't necessarily think that series needs to be called Ahsoka. It just depends on how they do it. Because this one didn't need to be called Ahsoka. This one could have been called fucking Sabine.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Or like, or I was gonna say Thrawn, but yeah. It was more about Sabine than anything.
Yeah.
Her breakout story of finding the Force within.
Finding the Force within. We might as well. We've fucking been babbling about it. We might
shouldn't call it Ahsoka because boy, those ratings are sure telling.
Oof. it is not good right now for Ahsoka and hasn't been the entire time. Let's pull this up. From the beginning, after the first week of Ahsoka, when Disney came out to try to counteract some of that news saying, we got 14 million views worldwide in a week, guys. We're just so happy with this, despite never have revealed really anything before. And all the numbers that have come out since then have only validated the fact that that's not very impressive for them. We knew that from the first episode, there was not a lot of people engaged with Ahsoka compared to other Disney Star Wars shows. It was only really beating out Andor. And even by the second episode, the second week, the third episode, we started to realize that the numbers were pretty comparable to Andor. Star Wars Ahsoka completely tanking in ratings, dropped nearly 50% in those Nielsen ratings from week 1 to week 2. Well, now, after the same week where we have a very divisive finale, I think it has really divided people. I think a lot of people felt let down by that finale, regardless of whether they felt about the rest of the show. Certainly, some people enjoyed it. Some people are loving it, but there's a lot of people that are not satisfied with the conclusion to this show and are really mad on the show in general. Well, now we get the newest update, Nielsen streaming numbers. And you can tell by this headline and by this entire fucking article going over the Nielsen streaming headlines, Ahsoka's not mentioned. There's a reason that it's not mentioned. And it's because, once again, it's not in the top 10. And it's barely in the top 10 for just original programming. Ahsoka falls down a few more spots to number 7 and it falls from minutes viewed wise to 459 million minutes watched. This is similar to Secret Invasion's numbers in their third week of streaming. This is worse than Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan, all this stuff that came out before. Ahsoka has a problem connecting with general audience members. It just does. This is a week where it had a longer episode with the tease of Anakin at the end, and still it had a fall in the ratings, despite having more episodes for people to go back and watch. really no way you slice it other than it's bad news for Disney. I'll put the caveat in there. The next week, we'll get the numbers for episode 5 of Ahsoka, which I've thought the whole time it'll get a boost just because people rewatching it, even if more people hadn't tuned in, because that's the Anakin episode. But what else can you say about this, Jay? I mean, regardless of how many times it trends on Twitter, the audience doesn't seem to be there for Ahsoka.
No, and I do think it's because a lot of normie Star Wars fans, me included, like had no idea who these characters were, so there wasn't really much of an investment. So for them to just kind of throw it into a show and assume that everybody's just, ooh, look at this, look at that, look at that. I do think the Anakin episode was probably the, like, if the viewership falls off, we got an Anakin episode right in the middle. That might pull people back in to see exactly what the freak is going on. So, because we know that'll trend all over Twitter. So maybe, like you said, it will be interesting to see the next one. But for the most part, the story that people that didn't see Rebels like me, the story was confusing. I have no investment in these characters, had no idea like what was going on. You know, there's so many questions. And every time like I brought those questions up on my live stream, then the comment section was filled with people saying, watch Rebels, you idiot. Then you won't have these questions. And number 2, you're just overly nitpicking the show. And it's like, how is it over nitpicking the show when it's clearly 6 years after Return of the Jedi, and you're just like, where the freak is Han? Where's Luke? You've been saying Thrawn is going to be the worst disaster for, you know, the world ever. He's the worst bad guy ever. You would think you might want to call the guy who blew up the Death Star, you know, or had a hand in it, whatever. But you know, obviously they didn't need him. Now they're stuck on a planet with Force Ghost Anakin walking around. Just hanging out with them, you know, not hanging out with his son or kid, you know, his daughter that he probably doesn't really care about anymore, I guess. But he's hanging out with Ahsoka.
I saw that meme with that, like, that one retarded, his name Beetlejuice or something, that one retarded guy. It's like Luke Skywalker during Ahsoka. Hey, what are you doing? Nothing.
Yeah.
Just hanging around.
Just hanging around.
It's.
You mean Anakin. You said Luke.
Well, I know, but what I mean is Luke. Luke's just sitting there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, Luke's just sitting there jerking off doing nothing.
Yeah.
Just waiting for another apprentice to walk along. To me, that's one of the failures of the Mandoverse in general is this should be the time where Luke Skywalker is out there very active in the galaxy.
So
right?
that'll be the name of the next series, Heir to the Empire. How much you want to bet?
I think that I wouldn't. It might be the name of the movie, to be honest. And I think it's disgusting. Listen, different people have different opinions than I do on this. There's expanded universe fans out there that love seeing them take something and bring it in, even if it's not in the same way. I hate it. I think there's a large portion of people that hate it. If you're going to throw this thing away and say it never happened, we want a clean slate to tell our own stories and then pick and choose little things. Look, just because you bring in a guy called Thrawn who has blue skin and a white Grand Admiral uniform does not mean that you're adequately able to tell that story. We've seen that. That's been proven. A character who is the character's name that is known even from people who've never read any of the books. They might have heard the name Grand Admiral Thrawn because of the reputation he had, because of how well written it was, because it was a different type of villain, very intellectual character who was able to do more with less, who was able to defeat bigger enemies, even though he had a dwindling resources, shit like this. That's who Thrawn was. You take him and you put him into Rebels. You let him constantly get, if not defeated, he's not winning. And you make him into a Scooby-Doo character where these guys are always escaping from him. And now you bring him into live action, and it's just as pathetic. There is no way you can tell me that anyone who just watches this series would comprehend why Thrawn's an actual threat to the galaxy.
100%.
There's just nothing.
I would even say Balin was more of a threat to anyone than Thrawn. At least Balin snuck aboard a ship, took it over, killed a bunch of people, but oh well.
His plans, especially in the final episode, were retarded. They just were. Especially once you establish that you have the capability to just resurrect your own troops at any time. Well, it certainly seems like your troops shouldn't be very limited then, does it?
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like your resources are that limited, does it? If you have that capability. To only send 2 TIE fighters after the Jedi shuttle is the most retarded thing in the world.
Yeah, that was awful.
None of it makes sense. It's written like a child, and it's written for children, in my opinion. It's why it feels like animation. But anyway, that's talking about the shit itself. The reception to it, even though some people on social media love this thing, there's not a lot of people that have been tuning in. I don't think the general Star Wars audience knows who Ahsoka is.
I agree.
I don't think the general Star Wars audience watched the Clone Wars, certainly didn't watch Rebels, and I don't think they understand why they're trying to make Ahsoka into this big important character. And that's why they needed to have Anakin in this, to make you think that Ahsoka's fucking important. They need to use Anakin to make you think that Ahsoka's important because nobody actually knows why.
So according to those ratings, all the other Star Wars show where they had more ratings than Ahsoka. Is that what so far?
Yes.
So she was below Mando, everything but Andor, right? So she was below Book of Boba Fett too.
Yeah, significantly.
That's great. I think that was the worst show.
I think so too.
Star Wars show I think ever made, man.
I think Ahsoka's in the middle in terms of Disney, Star Wars, Disney Plus stuff.
Yeah.
I think that Andor is probably the most competent thing they've ever done, even though I don't super love the show. But I think Mando season 1 it is up there. I think it's mid as fuck, and there's a lot of problems with it. But in terms of ranking these things with each other, I would even say Mando season 2 is better than Ahsoka. Mando season 3 is probably worse.
Yes.
Book of Boba Fett's worse and Obi-Wan's worse. Book of Boba Fett, I think, is the worst of the worst.
I agree. That was the dumbest show I've ever seen. All you just walk around the desert. Didn't do anything. And then he needed Mando to show up.
Fucking the Obi-Wan show was really dumb and really bad because of what they did to a character like Obi-Wan. And that still has some of the dumbest moments.
Yeah.
Like the absolute dumbest moments. The walking through with like the trench coat on.
Yeah, the Austin Powers moment.
I don't know how that makes it through the editing room.
I like the gate when they couldn't get past the gate when all they had to do was walk around the side. I was like, what the heck? Or Darth Vader, like, there's a little fire in front of me. I think I'll just let him get away.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
When just a few episodes later, they're like picking up rocks like Jesus and throwing them. It's like unbelievable.
Ugh. It's Obi-Wan was fucking rough.
It was brutal.
And that had like twice as many people tune in as Ahsoka. Probably more than twice.
Do we know the budget to Ahsoka is around the same, like 150, 125? Of course, I guess we'll never know because these numbers are all messed up.
Well, I'm not sure if we've ever got a definitive number on that. I would say it's probably somewhere in the realm of 100 to 150, but we don't know. Andor we know is super fucking expensive.
Yeah.
They greenlit a season 2 of that, despite it not being like a ratings darling. So clear, like, I think maybe the biggest problem with Ahsoka is the entire thing, the finale of Ahsoka feels like a mid-season finale of a show where you have more questions than answers and you're supposed to be intrigued as to like what comes next. That's not supposed to be a season finale where we might not get those answers for 2 or 3 years.
No, but you're absolutely correct. I think they sat around thinking, oh, Ahsoka's probably the most popular character we have next to Grogu. So, and not knowing that the temperature of the room is not, that ain't it, when it came to Star Wars fans. So you're right. That's why they threw Anakin in to try to make her more important to the general audience. That's why Filoni came out and said, hey, you don't have to watch Rebels, which, of course he was going to say that. He's not going to tell people, if you didn't watch Rebels, you're not going to like the show to like even hinder more people from not watching. So of course he's going to say something like that. But they did everything in their power to make this thing succeed, changing the time, pumping up numbers, all kinds of stuff. So
the animated shows just don't have, it's just not as big of an audience. To put it in perspective, Bad Batch season 2 premiere. Remember how we talked about Ahsoka, 1.2 million households over 6 days, which is really, really bad. Guess what Bad Batch was? How many households Bad Batch season 2 debuted in?
Probably half that.
76,000.
Yeah. Oh my God.
So you're talking about like maybe 5% of that number.
Holy crap.
And that's now obviously it's a season 2. It's Bad Batch. It's not like Clone Wars, but it's still, that gives you an idea of the audience for the animated shows compared to that of the general live action audience. It's very insubstantial. Wow. They're loud, they're passionate. I'm not going to say that they're not. But you have to come from it from the same perspective that I do as someone who read all the books in the expanded universe. It's been frustrating as fuck. All right. It's been frustrating as fuck to see people making theories about Abeloth, about, Abeloth is what this is, who have never fucking read those books. You're trying to pretend like you were reading Fate of the Jedi in 2008, 2009, 2010, wherever the fuck it came out. No, you fucking weren't. Shut the fuck. It's so fucking infuriating to me to see people pretending like they have any idea what that storyline was when they read fucking headlines. They read the first paragraph of Wikipedia, and that's all they fucking know about the character. But in the same perspective, I have to have that for EU stuff, right? If they were to come out with like some in-depth thing, expanded universe fans only would understand, I would have to come with the acknowledgement that that's not going to appeal to as many people. There's going to be a lot of people that feel lost as fuck about that. So
I literally have no idea what anybody's talking about when they say those names or why that Lord of the Rings stuff was mentioned in the show. So
the Lord of the Rings. Well,
it was like, it was like the father, the mother, and all that stuff people were saying. I'm like, I just want lightsabers, man. That's all.
There are clearly just straight up, rip-offs from other things that are just blatant. And to be fair, George was inspired by a lot of other things as well. But it seems super on the nose with Filoni in this show. The Lord of the Rings shot, the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, the Jedi, the Witch, and the Warlord. World Between Worlds is kind of a ripoff of, I forget exactly what it's called in C.S. Lewis's Narnia Chronicles, but there's basically the same thing, little portals you could go in to travel between the worlds, Narnia and Earth and everything like that. So very similar there as well. But anyway, I'm just glad that Ahsoka's over.
And nobody really cared.
Well, I don't think we could say that. People cared. There's passionate
not
people
according
on both sides.
Not according to those ratings, man. No, like, what the heck?
People cared, but not as many people tuned in.
There you go. All right.
Yeah.
That's a better statement.
I actually think there's been a lot of very divisive commentary on this show compared to what we saw. Like Mando season 3, I think is worse than Ahsoka, but I didn't see the discussion for Mando season 3 out there in the same way that we've seen.
There was nothing to discuss. It was just stupid. There was nothing to discuss. For me, Mando 3, the biggest discussion was freaking putting Lizzo and Jack Black in the series. Like, that's if there was anything that was kind of trending, it was that. So, that's the only thing I could see. They didn't do anything. They handed over the Darksaber. It was just like, well, she helped me, so here's the Darksaber. It wasn't a fight that everybody thought was going to happen. Then,
which they retconned the rules for it anyway.
Yeah, and then at the very end, the Darksaber just gets destroyed anyway. The one scene where they actually started shooting and the big dude gets killed,
Dude, I'm so glad the Darksabers fucking got destroyed. I fucking hate the Darksaber so much. I hated it since they fucking established its existence. I hate the way it fucking looks. I hate the way it sounds. I hate everything about the Darksaber. Fuck that thing.
Gone forever.
Lacey
they gave us a new blade in Ahsoka, and they destroyed that one too, apparently.
The Blade of Talzin.
Yeah.
Lacey says, the junk man is calling out all the Ahsoka haters and Disney Star Wars haters as misogynistic and transphobic and bigots. Well, that's good because Junkman also hates Ahsoka. So
I know.
It's good. All right, let me catch up on some stuff. We got a couple big super chats. Linko Kenobi for $100. Thank you, Linko. Says, what's up, guys? I do agree that Disney Star Wars has fallen apart. I wish they continued Luke, Han, and Leia's story. This should have been about them. I enjoyed Mando season 1 and 2, but after the whole thing fell apart, so now we have crappy Star Wars. LOL. I think that people were invested. Mando season 1, to me, was the best balance of stuff that intrigued normies and also okay story that had you interested in where it was going that you could enjoy, as opposed to Andor, which I do think is the best storytelling they've done on these Disney Plus shows, but it's not super interesting to a lot of normies. So, like, Andor doesn't even need to be a Star Wars show. Andor could have just been a random fucking series that's set in some dystopian place or a sci-fi universe or whatever that I think would have had a similar reaction. It just happens to be in the Star Wars universe. Whereas Mando, it was pretty simple. It was a self-contained plot with some interesting characters. There was some filler episodes. It was clearly like 5 episodes that were actually supposed to be there that they added a couple into. But Mando was okay. There's big problems with the story. Stuff they established, like the tracking fob, was insane and stupid. And obviously the inclusion of Baby Yoda was dumb. But overall, I think that's an okay story. Season 2 fell off the rails for me. I don't know about you, Jay. But.
No, I that's the Mando series was exactly what I expected from Star Wars on Disney Plus. Again, I just thought they were going to continue with like big blockbuster movies and then have these little side adventures on Disney Plus for people to enjoy that didn't really affect everything that was going on, but just kind of like hung out, you know, like in maybe whatever time period they wanted to put it in. So I didn't expect that much. Like I didn't expect the Disney Plus shows to be the peak Star Wars we were going to be getting from this company, you know, but apparently that's where we're at. Star Wars is back. Peak Star Wars. Greatest lightsabers ever, whatever. Yeah.
Apparently, peak Star Wars is just now when something references other Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like it's peak Star Wars when Hu Yang says a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah.
Like
that's peak.
Yeah. It's peak Star Wars when we see Hayden Christensen, who's a way better fucking fighter than slow ass Ahsoka.
Yeah.
Exposing how badly choreographed any Ahsoka fight scene is.
Well, Ahsoka's done and Loki is upon us.
Loki's upon us, and the Loki premiere came out yesterday. Jay, we talked a little about this before the stream. It sounded like you were really confused about what happened in Loki.
Well, what else is new?
Yeah,
it's exactly. The story of my life, okay? I'm always confused.
I do feel like when you're like, all these Rebels, people are telling you to watch Rebels and blah, blah, blah. A key theme with Jay reviewing shows is that he's very confused by what's going on. Whether it's House of the Dragon, whether it's Ahsoka, or whether it's Loki. So maybe there is a common denominator, Jay.
Yeah, that's the audience I have, though. We have the confused audience, so we're all just confused together. So I appreciate them deeply. So, but actually, Loki, after you explained it, after you took like 30 seconds to explain it, I was like, that makes perfect sense. So I just need Ryan. I just need to call Ryan after every show. Can you just give me the 30-second rundown? I'm totally in. I know what's going on. That's why we have Ryan and me. Ryan is like the super smart one. The dude never forgets a number. The guy's incredible, amazing. And then they have me to go, yeah, what about this? About this part?
I think this guy has cancer. Yeah.
It's a unique balance. You can't get anywhere else, people. Anywhere. Except Fridays.
But Loki did come out yesterday, season 1. What I want to talk about is what this means for Marvel, because this is going to be a very important series. Loki season 1. I like Tom Hiddleston. I like the character of Loki. However, I think they made a mistake not letting this character stay dead, personally. But taking that out of it, I think he and Owen Wilson have, a decent little, back and forth in Loki season 1. They have decent chemistry. I don't like the inclusion of female Loki, Sylvie being so important and kicking his ass and blah, 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 all this shit. And them really changing the inherent character of Loki. But now season 2 is here. Season 1 was the biggest show they've ever had on Disney Plus, bar none. We want to talk about these Ahsoka numbers not stacking up to other, Disney Star Wars shows. Well, the first season, the premiere of Loki over 2 years ago, broke records for Disney Plus, and this is when they had fewer subscribers than they have now. Loki debut breaks record on Disney Plus. 2.5 million people tuned in over the first 5 days for Loki season 1. 2.5 million households, I should say, compared to, what did we just say, 1.2 million for the first week, essentially, of Ahsoka. This is higher than anything we've ever seen for any of these Disney Plus shows. And now Secret Invasion, that could barely crack 1 million over 5 days. That's how pathetic Marvel's gotten in terms of its downward trajectory. But this show, in theory, the most popular Disney Plus show they have, should bring people back. I don't feel like I'm seeing a ton of people, not the hype or the talk that I expected about Loki season 2 coming out. And I did watch the premiere. It is very much meant to be a confusing and intriguing and wonder what the fuck is going on. I think it left a lot of people confused, although I feel like I understand where they're going with it. But I just don't see as many people talking about it as you would have expected for the sequel to the biggest thing they've ever done on Disney Plus.
No, I just think they've pumped out so much garbage that people just have walked away. And I'm also wondering, like, if when they first started doing these Marvel shows on Disney Plus, if people thought it was going to lead to something bigger, maybe on the big screen or different things like that. And it's not like there's things out there now where it's like you don't really have to watch this show to understand this, or you don't have to, see this to understand that. And so people are just like checking out. But I think Critical Drinker made this point. It's like when you put so much content out, it just like muddies the water for, things that you really wanted to have a primary focus on. And it's just too much. And people are like, I just don't have time, or I just don't care anymore. So, I mean, obviously the superhero movies are not doing too well in the box office anyway. And of course, we've got the Marvels getting ready to sell their pre-sale tickets coming up. So it's just like, I don't see why people would care. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing announced. There's nothing like, why would people care? Like, what's going on? The only time we really saw Kang was in Ant-Man, correct? Like Ant-Man Quantumania. Was there something I missed?
Well, Loki season 1, the end.
Well, I mean, in the big screen, like,
exactly.
like far as movie, and that was a disaster, which showed that people like just don't care. So if it's trying to tie it all in, it's like people have walked away.
It just become this content machine that no one thinks is special. And I feel like Star Wars are having the same problem. And now you have, on the same week, you have the Ahsoka finale and the premiere of Loki. Right. And this is at the same time frame. Remember, Disney's been trying to give away Disney Plus subscriptions. Yeah. $1.99 they're offering Disney Plus subscriptions over the next couple months in a desperate attempt to try to boost their numbers before the end of their fiscal year, which was just a couple days ago. Like, if they can't get people to tune in and watch now with the prices they're offering, when the fuck can they?
Right.
And I think people have realized, like you said, Jay, that a lot of these Disney Plus shows, they don't necessarily, nothing happens in them. Right. A lot of them just seem to be leading to other things that never get resolved. And I think people are just tired of it. So maybe they'll take maybe they'll wait a couple weeks and just binge the entire thing if they don't have time. But I think you can't treat these things like these big week-to-week releases that are supposed to be like individual movie releases almost, because the excitement just is not there for people anymore. They've learned their lesson when it comes to both these franchises.
100%. I mean, but the last time we saw Loki, he was dead. So then they gave out Loki season 1. So I'm sure a lot of people were curious, like riding off that, Avengers hype.
I personally, I hate that they brought him back. Because I think that's
no one's ever really gone. Yeah,
that's a character that we saw have a great arc.
Yes,
we saw this character get introduced, and in several phases throughout the Marvel Cinematic Universe was present, and he had this character arc. And I don't like Ragnarok. I'm not a fan of Thor Ragnarok, but we see that he takes an extra step in that movie and is with his brother, and you see this moment where you're wondering if all of that character development is going to be thrown out the door, and if he actually is going to side with Thanos, because he thinks it's the right thing to do, because he thinks he can, he's more powerful side or whatever. But no, he's he tries to betray Thanos and stick with his brother and ends up paying the ultimate price. That was a very serious fucking moment when we saw what happened to Loki in Infinity War. That's a moment where everybody knew this shit is real. This shit is legit. And I feel like now, in the same way I talk about it when you do things with like Darth Maul, bringing him back to life, stuff like that, I really think it cheapens that experience now of going back and watching that character arc and watching the development to just have this new character now who is not the same character, who's not acting like Loki, who got Loki's entire character arc through a Cliff Notes version on a projector screen. And it's just, I like Tom Hiddleston. He's got a lot of charisma and he's got a lot of good chemistry on screen with some of the other characters and stuff. But I just think it's the wrong story to tell because it devalues something that was really fucking good for Marvel.
100%. And then when you keep bringing dead people back, it'll just devalue any death scene that we see moving forward because it's like, oh, they killed off him. Well, they'll probably bring him back. So like, or they'll bring her back. No big deal.
Yeah, no, but I am interested to see. We'll probably have to wait until Monday or something like that, and we'll probably get the Samba TV numbers for the Loki premiere. And I'm really interested to see what it was. I want to see if it's higher than Ahsoka's. But even if it's 1.5 million compared to Ahsoka, that would be a massive drop off from season one. That's what I think we're going to see. We're going to see a little higher than Ahsoka, but a massive drop off from season one, which is really going to give us an indication of how people feel right now about these characters in the MCU. Let me get to another super chat. Tomac for $50. Woo! So Jay, with you being a closet Kingdom Hearts super fan, how do you feel about Buff Riku?
What Kingdom Hearts super fan?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not.
You don't know what Kingdom Hearts is?
I've never played that game.
I've played it a little bit. I didn't like it.
I've seen other people's app. That's where you get to be like
Disney
Mickey and Donald, right? And go through like
Donald and Goofy are like your partners. Yeah.
Yeah. And you get to go through like all the other games. So no, I haven't. I've never played the game.
Kingdom Hearts 3 gets weird. There's like shadow versions of everybody and stuff like that. I don't know. But I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about either, Tomac. I haven't played it enough to understand that. Darth Racer for $10. Darth Angelus has a great animated version of Heir to the Empire. What the sequel trilogy should have been. They could have used deepfake AI face voice for the legacy characters. He's been doing that project for years and it's awesome. It's really cool to see what he's done with it and how much it's progressed. So definitely check out Darth Angelus's YouTube channel for that, the Heir to the Empire animated series. He does chapter by chapter animations. Right. If they would have wanted to do that, I think they should have just recast the characters. Yes. I think that I think for them to move forward, if they want to use those characters, personally, I think it should just stay away. Just go 1,000 years before, 1,000 years after. Right. Stay away from this era of Star Wars and start really be your own creative shit in this world. But with that being said, I think they need to do a recast. I think that it feels too weird to have these deep fakes of people, to have these AI things when it's not really that character. You know it's not really that character, but you're kind of reminded it looks like a facsimile of that character. Just do recasts. The guy who played Luke in Book of Boba Fett looks a lot like fucking Luke Skywalker.
Yeah.
Like, he looks a lot like him. Now, I was not a big fan of Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo at all. I know there's some people that are fans of him out there. I don't think he was good as Han. I don't think he embodied Han Solo at all. But if you want to use Alden, fine, or find somebody else and just recast those characters if you want to tell those stories. I think that'd be cheaper, and I think there would be pushback to it initially, but I think there's already pushback to doing it the way they do it. And you're
everybody
so limited.
Else. Yeah, everybody else recast characters.
Yeah. All right. Doug B for 20. Dick Butkus once body slammed a Kansas City running back on the line. Literally picked the dude up. His leg's still running and body slammed. It's on YouTube somewhere. Look it up. Dude was the beast.
Yeah.
Yes. He was fucking awesome. Dumb H for 20. Hey, guys, how you doing? Well, Ryan must be doing good. His Bears finally won. They did win. I'm wondering if it's a good thing or whether they should have tried to go for that number one pick. Luckily, they have Carolina's pick, which could end up being the number one pick too. But we'll see. I don't think all is well in Chicago because we had a good game.
They beat the Commanders.
We finally won for the first time in almost a year. who won 347 days without a win. Longest active losing streak in the NFL. Jeff Spitzer, welcome to the 199. Thank you. Cole Hauser, member for 5 months. Yo, Jay and Ryan. Dick Butkus was also in the TV series Blue Thunder and Bubba Smith. Yeah, he did turn it into acting career. Professor X would have created a better Robin Hood than Director X. 199. Ara. Thank you, Cole Hauser. Yeah, Director X is desperate to get on stream. He's desperate to get like more attention for his thing. The thing was, Az was going to speak with him. He was going to do a discussion with Director X, and then Director X basically puts out this thing blaming review bombing and racist people for his show's failure. The wild thing is, because clearly that guy, like, his show's failing. He really wants attention in any way he can get it, even if it's just able to come on a stream with a bigger audience than he has, and able to shit on people for not liking his show. But nobody was talking about the reviews for Robin Hood at all until he made a video about it.
Yeah.
There wasn't you couldn't find a single video about, you know, audience ratings bad, terrible IMDb ratings. Nobody was like making videos about that to try to, I don't know, gaslight people into giving it a bad review until he brought it up. I didn't even know about it. I didn't know that there were bad reviews for Robin Hood until Director X made a video.
I like your tweet though about the VPN. I thought that was great.
Yeah. So, shout out to him. Thank Director X. Thank you for watching our videos. Thank you for subbing to the channel. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And yes, like I used a good picture of you in my thumbnail.
Yeah, he seems to have like watched a lot of Jeremy's videos. So
he's
like, I was hoping Jeremy would say, "Well, it's Jeremy." Whoa, what was Jeremy's old tagline?
Coming to you with another video.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. And then now he's got all our retarded haters in his comments that are like, hey, you know, this guy did this, you know, this guy did that.
Yeah.
And they're like, you know that he's just mad because he has a project coming up with Epicverse. It's a wannabe John Wick project. Like, God, these people are so fucking retarded. Like, so fucking retarded. Yeah, we'll see. I have no idea when our Epicverse stuff is coming out. For you guys that don't know, me and Jay, Josiah asked us to do him a favor basically and help out with his Epicverse stuff, some short stuff that they're doing there, which is cool. And it's never something I've been a part of. I have no desire to be an actor in any way, shape, or form, but it was cool to do it for a day or for a couple days and help out Josiah. And we'll see what happens. I'm excited for it to see what the final product is. But if anyone thinks that's a vanity project or a John Wick,
that's come on, man.
You have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, come on.
So anyway, not surprising. These people are actually retarded queers. Scott McKenzie for a gifts a Geeks and Gamers membership. Thank you, Scott. Dom H with 10 memberships. Woo! Thank you, Dom. Hash Mask for 2 months. Muppetosis is a real thing, and we will together lift a rude eye. Muppetosis. Got it. The Real Smile Bit with 10 Geeks and Gamers memberships. Thank you so much. Tobias Nexus, member for a month. I've been listening to an audiobook version of Joe Schreiber's Death Troopers. If anyone wants to see Star Wars Zombies done right, I recommend that. Yeah, that's an EU ripoff, but it's a completely different context. So yeah. Volt Survivor over on Rumble for $1. Jay, support your freedom from Rip-a-Blocks. Hashtag Jay did nothing wrong.
Yeah. I'm unblocked.
Volt 95 for $1 says, never forget how the first lady said Latinos are the same as tacos. Hashtag let's talk about it.
Yeah.
For $1, Jay, can you get Ryan on FNT?
I think I'll have him on tonight.
Yeah, I think he pulled some strings and I'm on for tonight. That is true.
Along with Disparu.
Vu Lee for $5. Happy belated birthday, Jay.
Oh, man, I appreciate it. I haven't heard that one yet.
The Polar J Bowman for $2. Jay rolling on the floor laughing. Why are you Jay?
I don't know.
Aberu for $5. Thoughts and prayers to anyone named John Doe who may or may not have cancer. Japanese Demon Lord of Beer Lucifer for $5. The trailer for second Band of Brothers spinoff, Masters of the Air, has been released. Yes, the HBO Band of Brothers. Oh, I didn't even know about that. I'll have to check it out. Gary's Beard Crafts for $2. Jay's such a mean that Ryan wishes cancer on people. It'd be just so he could not be embarrassed.
Thank you.
Project Taco for $5. I hate that Latinx bullshit. Just call me a bean already. Thank you, Project Taco. David Kushmore and I think most people feel that way. No Latinos actually want the Latinx bullshit. It's just woke white people. David Kushmore for 5. When's the next Star Wars video game? Is there going to be Mandalorian season 4 and then Bad Batch season 3 and Andor season 2? Well, and also Skeleton Crew and the Acolyte.
Oh, Acolyte's turning out to be some piece of work.
Can't wait. For video games, as far as I know, well, they do have a third Jedi game in development with Cal Kestis. There's that one that was like the Ubisoft, the open world Star Wars game that's coming out. I forget what it's called. I don't know if it's, I forget if it's Ubisoft, but
I haven't heard much about that since they dropped that teaser. So
they dropped that trailer, and I don't really know when that's supposed to come out. But Project Taco for 2. Did y'all catch Alex Stein called Jeremy a gay wad? No, but I'm not surprised. Jay's Sag Your Orangutan Titties for 5. Watched Haunted Mansion remake last night. Made the original look like Shakespeare. At least we'll always have the ride. Hail all and happy Friday. Hey, happy Friday to you, Jay's Titties. Japanese Demon Lord of Beer Lucifer for 5. Ignore my previous super chat. Well, sorry. It was still just a release date and first images. I'm still excited. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Holy for 5. Ahsoka on your left. Sabine probably as the Marvel theme plays. That's what we're going to see. Like that's what they're intending. Yeah. And then Holy for another same super chat repeated. I don't know if you sent it twice, but thank you either way. Commander 062 for 5. Rom with Ryan. When I read Heir of the Empire, it's what the sequel should have been. Ahsoka bastardized it and made Thrawn a joke. Sadly. To me, like a lot of people would like that to be with the sequels. I've always thought that what the sequel should have done is left all of the expanded universe stuff there and then start off after the last thing we saw in the expanded universe, which was the book Crucible. And you have these characters that would have been perfect to pick up on, because this is a point in time where Crucible was supposed to be a Crucible, however you want to pronounce it, was supposed to be the last big hurrah, the last big adventure, just focused on Han, Luke, and Leia before they took a step back and really let the younger generation be the front. Not that they were going to go away, not that they weren't going to be a part of it, but that was just like supposed to be the last hurrah for these 3 characters. But you had a lot of younger generation characters like Jaina Solo. Oh, crazy. A strong female Jedi would have been great for them. Jag Fell, a great pilot, the leader of the Imperial Remnant at the time, and married to Jaina Solo Fell. And then you have Ben Skywalker, the son of Luke and Mara Jade. That could have been your big 3. You've got characters like Tahiri thrown in. There's so much they could have done that would have been a younger, new generation, next generation that they could have launched off of that, and not necessarily been beholden to a certain ending or anything like that. Just take what was established, take all the character arcs and character development that had happened and put that and take the story and tell it from there. I think that would have been better than, because you would have had to do some sort of recast or de-age or whatever to tell the proper story of Heir to the Empire in the sequels, just because of the age of the characters. It wouldn't be realistic. But that point in time would have been about 40 years after the movies. Force Awakens came out about 40 years after, 38 years after the movie. So the ages would have been right. I just think it could have been cool.
Yeah, but these people, so prideful, they wanted to be the creator. They didn't want to use somebody else's creation. They wanted to create their own stuff.
They wanted to bastardize shit.
They wanted to make Rey, all that stuff.
Django Fett. Django, like spelled like Django. For 2. Ahsoka soundtrack in a nutshell. Feel the Force. I'll train you, baby. My Padawan. You're levitating. Far, far away. We are rebelling. Yeah. Thank you, Django Fett. Mike Hill for 10. What do you think will be the possibility there will be a sequel series from Breaking Bad about Walt Jr. becoming a crime lord? What's his name? Already came out and said that that's not fucking happening. That'd be depressing as fuck. So I don't think that'll happen. Wesley for $1. When do we get an Ahsoka spinoff? 3 years. AJ Fontillis, member for 2 months. Hail Ryan KKK Kinnell and Drunk D3PO.
Hey.
Hail all 199 strong. Praise Ara. Thank you, AJ.
Thank you.
Darth Racer for 5. Ahsoka. Too many criticisms to list. I'll be generous and give it a 5 out of 10. It's very depressing. I don't think we'll ever have good Star Wars again. Me neither. Garfield's Bizarre Adventure for 5. You told me back in 2012 I would eventually come to be apathetic towards Star Wars. I would have called you crazy, yet here we are.
Here we are.
Mark Tan for 5. All Ahsoka needs to do for Thrawn to have a pet hound and do a Muttley laugh every time Thrawn makes a decision and fails. Yes. Scooby-Doo villains. Predinsky. Predinesky for $7. Bungie's trash. I hope PlayStation drops those clowns. Never should have brought them in the first place. Their games aren't good. Praise Ara. Christian Rocker for $1.99. How do you rate Disney Plus shows to sequel trilogy? Which one, I guess?
Yeah, I don't know.
Rise of Skywalker is objectively the worst.
Yeah, that was
Last Jedi does the most damage, and Force Awakens is like, to me, a 4 out of 10, and just super fucking shallow with jangling keys everywhere. I did not like Force Awakens at all. Bert for $1.99. Kehu Kwan and Loki instead of Dial of Destiny. What the fuck?
Man, yeah, that's Disney will go down in history as missed opportunities.
I didn't hate the Loki premiere. I don't like the premise of the Loki series. Like I said earlier, I have issues with it, but I do think it may have went over a lot of people's heads and they don't understand what's happening, which could be problematic. Maybe it'll get people engaged and wondering about what'll come next episode. We'll see. Tobias Nexus. If anything, I think that Ryan might like H.P. Lovecraft's work as a show. Plus, if he had a cat, he'd probably name it after Lovecraft's black cat. There you go. Rabid one for 5. I'm banned from commenting on videos unless I pay for a thanks or super chat. YouTube is Sofa King gay. Oh, so fucking gay.
Really?
Don't watch PBD and call Coulter a trans patient 0. Yeah, look, you're on YouTube's naughty list there. Batmobile for 2. What up, y'all? Don't watch Gen V. It's trash. It doesn't look good to me. Ajax Skyline for 5. RK, met you in Vegas 2022 and told you about my theory. Loki took place in 2012 and everything has already been done by Endgame. Wonder how it leads up. Yeah. We'll see. There's not as much discussion around Loki as I expected. Super Duck for 5. Did Buckish should have won an Oscar for Hamburger, the motion picture. Watch that movie. Thunderstrike for $2. No cancer. I'm the one with the daughter in the NICU. That's what I thought about Thunderstrike.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to say that after Jay had just incorrectly said he had cancer. Yeah. I didn't want to fucking put something else on somebody else.
Sorry about that.
But yes, I do remember you have your daughter in the NICU. So shout out to Thunderstrike as well. Yeah. Good vibes out to Thunderstrike. Chris Benoit, Canadian $5. Jay, I got a copy of my book from my son. Read it to him at bedtime. It's the second fastest way for me to put him to sleep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris Benoit. Project Taco for 5. Me gusta muchos tacos. Papi Rai Rai and Jay DPO are the best foods.
I thought you were speaking Spanish.
That's what it says. I'm just
I know.
I'm reading it. Ministry of Wrongthink for $1.99. Can't wait to see Disney's Kid Bop Abeloth. Yeah. Coley for 5. If there's no Asian at Bungie, I'm a riot. JK. It'll be hilarious, though, if they kept going down the list.
Yeah.
The Count 209 for 5. Can we start a petition for George Lucas to come back before he dies? Can you guys get an interview with him or something? No, I don't want. George doesn't need to come back.
Yeah.
He's not.
I saw him at the indie premiere, and I was like, man, he just needs to go somewhere he really loves to be and just enjoy.
Jay's talking about opening the door for George Lucas.
I'm not. I'm just saying. He was at the Indiana Jones premiere, and like he just stood there. He looked like Mitch McConnell, man. I hate to say it. He just stood there, and they were kind of walking him around, and it was like
79 or 80 or something.
You just don't.
Like that.
You look at that, and you're just like, I don't. You don't want to see it. It happens to everybody. Everybody gets older, but it's like you just don't want to see it. And I'm like, I saw that, and I think we talked about it before, and I'm like, at this point, it's just let him go somewhere and read a newspaper in a food court if he's happy there.
I don't want to be dragged out to any more of these premieres.
Yeah,
I don't want people to do interviews with him. I just want him to, live the rest of his life in peace. Yeah. Personally.
Yes, I agree.
Troy, member for 2 months. The idea of Disney creating their own stuff is fine. The execution is terrible. Poor writing and lack of singular vision is the catalyst of failure. True. And we are all caught up with that. We went overtime today, Jay. We had a lot of super chats, a lot of people.
Yeah.
A lot of people supporting in here. So thank you guys very much. Jay, what do you got going on?
Not too much. So just working on the same thing, videos, and love working on my pirate channel, man. Just enjoying that. So I'll probably do some gaming with the members maybe tonight. So that's about it. And gonna enjoy Friday Night Tights. See you guys all in there having a great time.
That's right. Vault 95 Survivor wrote on Rumble. Where the fuck does Sabine keep getting her hair dyed in that shitty world they live in? Well, to be fair, she's only been there for probably a couple days, so you wouldn't expect her to have to, redo her roots at this point. But if the next thing is like a year later and they're still on Peridia and her hair looks the same, then you can have those arguments.
Yeah.
Maybe she'll find a specific dye there, like that.
The crab people will find it for her. Her hair won't grow. It'll all just be the same.
Like you would think, again, now, just real quick,
Here it
at the end of this show, Ezra somehow manages to steal a shuttle and like escape with no problem from the Chimera and the Eye of Sion, slip away, whatever. No explanation. I don't know how he figures out where the fleet is. It's also really stupid that clearly he's contacted the fleet and says that he's not an enemy because they're escorting him in. Yeah. Yet he keeps his stormtrooper stuff out. Whatever. It's a really dumb ending. Even though I do think the actor is kind of feels the most like Ezra from the show. But Ezra has just come from Dathomir where Thrawn's doing all this stuff. If the next part of the story isn't they take the fleet, the entire fucking fleet, and go to Dathomir and just destroy him where he stands, he has one beat up Imperial Star Destroyer and the Eye of Sion. They should fucking wreck his shit.
Yep.
But it's just going to be some excuse about, bureaucratic. Oh, this one senator won't let us. He's mean. Like, that should have been the end of the Ahsoka series.
Right.
Is Ezra jumps in and is like, hey, Thrawn's back and he's right here. I have this shuttle. I have the coordinates. I have all these recordings of where I was just at. Here we go. Let's go. Jump there, kill him. Game over. But that, of course, won't be it. Anyway, that's just a random thought I had. That's going to do it for us, guys. I will talk to you next week on Monday, back for G&G Daily. I'll be at Friday Night Tights tonight. All that good stuff. Thank you for hanging out. Thanks, Jay, for letting us know who has cancer and who has, kids in the NICU. We got that fixed. We got that worked out. Lover of Green for 10. Loki 2 is the first MCU show I dropped after the first 10 minutes.
Ooh.
I watched every trash fire for giggles. Loki 2 is boring as hell. Can't wait for F&T to roast it tonight. Yeah, I didn't hate it as much as Ahsoka, I'll be honest. It is very much supposed to be like, what the fuck is going on here? It's supposed to draw you in, not make you bored. So it didn't work for you, certainly. But we shall see. See you guys on F&T. Talk to you guys later. Peace.